Hi, I'm Secondhand from Archery Supplies. Today we're going to look at the Hoyt CRX35. Now this is a second-hand bow which came into my shop, and when you're looking at second-hand bows you've got to take a look at the bow to see what it's like as far as value for money is concerned. So let's just have a quick look at this bow. Now these are straight fiberglass limbs, and you can see they're not under a lot of pressure. So as far as I'm concerned, these are not laminate limbs, these are a solid fiberglass limb, and this is the same fiberglass they use on most bow manufacturers. Now because they're not under lots of tension, to me these limbs are absolutely bulletproof. It's a module cam system here, so you physically have to buy modules to change the draw length of this bow, which is a huge negative. So if you want to go and sell this bow to someone who's shorter than you, they need to be able to buy the modules to fit on to adjust the bow. Now this bow is even harder than that, because with Hoyts I don't have a lot of idea how they physically work as far as this bow, the specs on this bow. So when I first listed this bow for sale, my staff member who listed it looked up the specs on this bow and said, oh, it goes from 25 to 32 inches in draw length. So he put down 25 to 32 inches in draw length and put whatever poundage this bow was. Now that's not correct, because it does go from 25 to 32, but there's actually 3 cams available on this bow. Now this cam is a cam 3, which goes from 29 to 31, I think. Now it's currently fitted with a, just there, I think it's a number 3 module. And you'll see down here the draw stop it's on the second shortest. So it's actually 1 position shorter. Now I think this is 29. So I think the shortest for this is 28.5. I could be wrong. And according to the specs I am wrong. So I think it's set on 29 at the moment. It feels like 29 to me, but I think by buying a module you could set it to 28.5. But it is what it is. So if you wanted to go 28, you cannot do it without buying new cams for this bow, and that's too expensive on a second-hand bow. Now, the specs on this bow is 35 inches axle, IBO speed of 318, 7-inch brace height, weight of 4.2 pounds. So this is a nice bow. The balance is very, very good. Now, when this bow was released new, it would have been an expensive bow on the market, and I would have said, if I was doing a review on this bow when it was first released, I would have said this bow is too expensive for what it is, based on the speed of the bow, based on there's no adjustability on the bow. However, the things that are good about this, you've got a fixed cable position here with rollers, so you're not going to get a lot of vibration. The limbs are parallel, so you're not going to get a lot of vibration forward. Now, the spring tension, there's not a lot of tension on these springs. You can see how much I can flex these strings. That's because there's not a lot of tension on these strings. Now I looked up before I did this review on this bow to see what other people thought of this bow, and this bow was rated 5 stars out of 5 stars. Now I can guarantee you when this bow was released, I wouldn't have rated this bow 5 stars out of 5 stars because of the price and the performance for that price point. But now it's second hand, it's on a whole new realm, because the price is being brought down. Now to me this bow is bulletproof, as I said, because the limbs, these limbs aren't going to break literally ever. So the only way this bow is going to break is if you break it. So now when you look at a second-hand bow, look at the strings. You can see the strings here, they've got a little bit of fuzziness, but they're still fine. There's no wear here, the strings are all served here. So to me this bow looks in good condition. Look, you're going to put a bit of wax on that string, it's going to last literally forever. It's got a string stop down here, metal limb pockets. So to me this looks like a bow which is, you know, a $1,200-$1,300 bow new. However, it doesn't have the speed of a $1,200 or $1,300 bow, and that's why I would have rated this bow down when it was new. But now it's second hand, and the price point about 450 Australian dollars, I think it's probably not a bad shooter for that price point. So let's have a go. So now what you're comparing this bow to, a new bow like a PSE Stinger, which has got plastic limb pockets, about the same sort of speed, but it's a cast riser on a Stinger, but you've got adjustability on a Stinger. So let's just compare the draw cycle on this bow to start with. I haven't actually shot this bow, so I can't tell you anything about it, so this is straight off the bat. Oh, it's very... Now this bow's wound down. Okay, so what I'm going to do before I do a speed test with it, I'm going to wind it up. Now there's no tags on this bow to tell me what poundage this bow is. That's a bit of a negative, but this bow is very smooth to draw. And then I'm getting a valley there, and it lumps in, but it's very, very easy. It doesn't want to pull out of my hand. It feels like 40 pounds. So what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to wind this bow up to maximum to get a better indication of how this bow is. This bow up. So the first thing is you're going to say, what does this bow compete against? Now the first thing is, at bows under $1,000, you're comparing it against cast risers with plastic limb pockets, and that's what you've got to take in consideration. So I'm going to, first off the bow, I'm going to compare it to, and you're going to say you're comparing it to a PSE. It's because it's my biggest selling bow. This is the PSE Drive. Shoots about 330 feet per second. Costs about $700 with adjustable draw length. Now that's a cast riser. This is a machine riser. So this is going to be slower, but a bigger brace height, but a machine riser with machine limb pockets. So I'm going, well, I get a little bit more speed with the drive, but this is probably a higher quality bow. Now you're going to say, well, compare it to a Hoyt. Okay, now the first off the Hoyt I'm going to compare it with is the Clash, which is the bottom of the range bow. That bow is absolutely, don't even go there. It's got lots of vibration, it's very slow, cast riser, just not a good bow to shoot, not steady to shoot. In fact, one of my staff was shooting that bow the other day in the shop, and I could see his hand just vibrating away. Not a bow I like. So the bow I'm going to compare it to is probably the Hoyt Power Max. Retails at about $1,000, and I think it's about the same sort of speed as this. I think it's a cast riser, and I think it's got plastic limb pockets at about the $1,000 mark. So I'm going to say this is very, very compatible to the Power Max. And at half price, I'm going to say this is a good buy compared to the Power Max. So let's have a look how it physically draws. It's nice and smooth, drops off nicely. To me, this draw cycle is very similar to the Power Max. Nothing like the cheap Hoyt, the Clash. Like, don't even go there. The Hoyt shops don't go there. Don't you go there. This is, to me, very similar to the Power Max, probably slightly better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a shot first off and see what it feels like. That is nice. You can see the bow doesn't jump out of the hand. It's nice and quiet. It's a nice bow to shoot. Not fast. Not fast. So let's shoot this through the chronograph. I'm hoping there's enough light to shoot it through the chronograph. Now, this is not a 60-pound bow. This is probably more a 50-pound bow at 29 inches. So let's see if I can get a speed through the chronograph. There's not enough light. This is not fast. I can't get a speed through the chronograph because there's not enough light. But to me, this bow feels really, really nice to shoot. You can see the Peep Sight, whoever had this bow before had the Peep Sight really high. And for me, it's sort of up here, so I can't even use the Peep Sight. But this bow feels really nice to shoot. And you're going to say, why do you sell this bow? Well, he actually brought the customer brought a Elite Victory, a target bow. So he's a target shooter. He wanted to sort of step up. And that's the bow he shot. So what I want to do now is I'm going to shoot some groups at 18 meters, and let's see how well I shoot with this at 18 meters. I feel I'll shoot well with it. I'm going to be interested to see how it aims. You can see the rise is actually pretty much in line with the limb, so I think it'll aim okay. And I think it'll shoot pretty well, given the 7-inch brace height, given the 35-inch axle. Very smooth draw. I think I'll shoot this thing pretty well, so let's see how well I shoot with it. Okay, so I'm back here at 18 meters, ready to shoot the Hoyt CRX35. Now, the first thing I'm going to discuss is buying secondhand versus new. Now, one of the advantages of buying secondhand is you're not going to lose a lot of money, and if you want to try a bow or build up to a bow, it's not going to cost you a lot of money. So if you go to sell this bow, you're going to sell it for pretty much what you paid for it, or you should. And I think this bow's $450. You should get around that when you go to sell it. So it's really costing you nothing to get into the sport, to have a shot, to see what you think, and you're buying a high quality bow. Now when you buy new, you get that lifetime warranty. Now lifetime warranty on new bows does not include strings, so if those strings snap, it's not covered under new. Same with the second-hand bows. Now to me, this is a pretty bulletproof bow, so the whole warranty thing on this bow is not worrying me at all, but it's something to consider when buying a bow, the warranty, how much the warranty means for you. But if this bow's, I'm going to say, well, the Power Max, I think is probably the closest comparison to this, around $900 bow Australian. This is $450. Like this is, I'd be buying this every day over a Power Max because it's just so much cheaper, and for the price point, I think it's better than the $450 bows new. However, it doesn't have the adjustability, so the draw length has to suit you straight off the bat. Otherwise, you better to buy a new bow, in my opinion. However, even saying that, if you can get the modules for $30, $480, this is still a good buy. So let's see how I shoot. I think I'll shoot well. Now the first thing, with the grips on the Hoyt, they're all unique, and a lot of people love the grips on Hoyt because with most bow companies, they take the grip off and you're shooting straight off the riser. So this feels more comfortable, especially for a beginner. For me, I don't really care one way or the other. The bow companies who shoot just the normal bow grip, just the flat riser, would claim you shoot better because there's no torquing on that grip. And in fact, with the Hoyt target bows, they're shooting straight off the riser as well. So, look, for beginners, this feels more comfortable. If you walk into a shop, this grip is going to feel more comfortable than straight off the shelf riser. Now the draw cycle to me is fantastic, however it's not fast. So when I see the 5-star reviews on this bow, look, I get it, but to me I'm not impressed by the speed of this bow. So I couldn't rate this bow 5 stars, and I think those people are basically getting paid to do 5 stars. But it's a nice bow to shoot. Now some people are going to say, well, speed doesn't matter, accuracy is what matters. And look, yeah, but, you know, this is, you know, when you're talking speed, it means a 50-pound bow can shoot equivalent of a 60-pound bow. And a 50-pound bow is going to be easier to shoot. So there's something in speed, even for target archers, but especially for hunters. And you know, that whole judging distance thing, the faster the bow, the faster the bow, the more accurate you're going to be as far as judging distances, because you can be more out with distance guessing with a faster bow. But faster bows are generally harder to shoot. That's interesting. I'm getting a little bit of this thing happening. Could be me, but I feel I'm getting a little bit of this vibration thing. Look, it's easy to aim, it's easy to shoot, but I'm getting a little bit of left and right in the aim, a little bit of wobble in there. But it's easy bow to shoot. I'm really getting no up and down movement, it's just left and right, just a little bit of this thing happening. Very smooth, no vibration, I've said that before. Now these are a hybrid cam, which means the top wheel and the bottom wheel are different. You have a yoke up the top and no yoke down the bottom. Now with the Hoyt hybrid cam, you'll see at the top here, it's got a stop. So you need to ensure this stop and this stop hit at the same time. So some hybrid cams, like the Drive hybrid cam, is a circle up the top, so there's no timing issues. This is not the case with this. You need to ensure both stops hit at the same time. So it's kind of, with a single cam bow, with an idler wheel at the top, you've got no timing issues, you just shoot it. With this hybrid cam, you do have to time the bow still, top and bottom cam, and you do that through adjusting the strings and cables. So when I'm shooting this bow, I'm finding it really nice to shoot. And I'm thinking about the guy who traded this bow into my shop. I'm pretty sure he brought a Victory, well he brought an Elite Victory. And I'm pretty sure he brought 60 pounds, and I think this bow's 50, so he actually upgraded in poundage. I think for what he does, he's a target shooter, that the Victory is a better bow because it's 37 inches. It's got a draw stop. I think it's a little bit easier to aim than this. I think I threw that one out to the left. So I think for him, when he upgraded from this bow to the Victory X, I think his scores will go up. I don't know because I haven't seen him since he traded this bow. It was traded last week. But you've gone from a bow which is $400 up to a bow which is $1,300. Which means you're pretty keen on the sport to do that. So at $400, you're a person getting into the sport, I find. But this bow is lovely to shoot. Like I've said that a few times now. Now what you'll find with this bow, because there's not a lot of pressure on the limbs, is when you wind this bow down in poundage using limb bolts, the poundage will drop off pretty quickly. If a bow's got lots of tension on the limbs, so lots of preload on the limbs, one limb term is probably going to be 2 pounds. It's going to be greater on this because there's not a lot of tension. As you let this poundage off on this, I'm about to step on my dog. As you let this off, these strings are going to become softer. When you've got pre-tension limbs, as you wind it down, it's still fine because there's still lots of tension on the strings and cables. With this bow, I wouldn't want to wind it down too much because the bow's going to be sloppy to shoot. And my summary of that before I go up there and check these arrows, so I think if you're going to shoot this bow between 40 and 50 pounds, this bow's good. The weight, 4.2 pounds, it kind of feels like 4.2. It's got good balance. It's going to be a nice bow for a beginner, a lady, probably too heavy for a lady. It's going to be a young man's bow, young boy's bow, or an adult's bow, or an older person's bow who wants to get into it. 3D archery, target archery, it's going to be ideal for. Maybe a little bit too light for hunter unless you're hunting small game. Recreational shooter, someone shooting in the backyard, this bow is going to be perfect. And you're getting an expensive bow with expensive features at a cheap price. So let's go and see how I shot. Okay, so I'm up here at the target. I can't get my finger around the group, but it's actually not a bad group. I've actually got a little bit of height. I didn't think I would have any height adjustment. I thought I was good with my height. I thought I was going to get a little bit of left and right. In fact, my left and right's not too bad. I've got a nice group of arrows there, they're clustered to the left. That's just my sight. But it's not a bad group. For a hunting sight, no stabilizer, no peep sight. That's not a bad little boat group for a basic setup. I'm pretty happy with that. If I had my sights moved in, that'd all be gold. That would be a decent score with this bow. And I think overall that's not a bad result for this bow, which means you're going to shoot good scores with this bow, which is what I predicted to start with. It's just on speed, you're going to give up a bit of speed, but as far as quality of this bow, this is a good quality bow which isn't going to blow up on you. It's just going to last in 10 years, 10 years time, this bow is still going to be shooting lights out, because these limbs are just not under any tension. There's just no tension in these limbs. So these limbs are going to be good in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years time, in my opinion, because these are the same limbs they put under heaps of tension. Same material. It's nice and quiet. It has all good features, like you've got plastic here, which is when you wind it up and down to make it nice and smooth, quiet. Metal limb pockets here. This is actually plastic in here, but that's fine. I just find it a nice solid bow, and at that price point, about $450, a Hoyt CRX to me is a buy. And that's what you want when you're buying a secondhand bow. You don't want to go, oh, is it good value or not? You want to go, yeah, that's good value. And I think at about $450, this is excellent value. If you can get them even cheaper, well, that's great. But at about the $450 price, which is about the cheapest price you can get a brand new compound for, American compound, not Chinese compound, I think this is a good buy. And to me, it's as good as the current Power Max, which is in the market today. So yeah, overall, good quality bow. I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies, and the more you shoot, the better you shoot. Thanks for watching. Bye.